Welcome. In today's demonstration, you will be learning how to create a tile with a continuous pattern that can be tessellated exponentially. Some uses for these tiles will be explained at the very end of the video. So before we get too far into things, tiling first appeared in things like roof tiles in ancient times, but their creative potential was realized much later and can be traced as far back as 4,000 years ago. And that's in places like North Africa and the Middle East. So designs of tiles can be used as decoration, represent an idea, or convey a historical, religious, or social meaning. And today, what we're going to be working with, some important terms we'll want to know about our tile art. So that's an arrangement of tiles, or in some cases a single tile, with a painted pattern or image on top. A pattern, which is a design made by repeating shape, line, or color. A tile, which in this case is going to be a single square block containing an image that extends off all four sides. So that will be one of our pieces of paper for today. And then finally, tessellation. So that's when you cover a surface with a pattern of flat shapes so that there are no overlaps or gaps. And we'll be using the tiles and tessellating those to get our tile art. So I wanted to go over a couple of artist examples to kind of help orient us to what pattern tiling looks like. The first one of those is Maggie Webster. She's a commercial artist from Canada who is currently doing pattern tiles as a form of Inktober drawings. And you can see on the left, she's created a physical ink drawing and then digitized it and created the pattern and tessellation of those tiles digitally. And then the same goes for the one on the right, but this one is actually a digital drawing and pattern. And what I've done here is create a little blue box to help you understand the idea of what that tile looks like. So she's created this one little tile of this flying bird. And then what she's done next is copied that same tile, moved it down to the bottom of that first tile, and then the side and the top and the other side respectively to create this continuous tessellation pattern. Our next artist is Maya Softstrom. So she's a Swedish illustrator and book artist. And the examples here are both ink drawings that she has digitized and then created the pattern and tessellation with through that. Maya actually uses a 2-tile method for her tessellation work, which is a little bit different than what we're going to be doing today with the 1-tile method. But the results are very, very similar, and I would definitely encourage you guys to check this out as an alternate method as well. So for this project, you'll need some pieces of paper. They can be square or rectangle, and then you'll need a pencil, an eraser, and then pens with varying line weights. To start things off for this project, you'll take one of your tiles and begin by just folding it into thirds. So take it one direction, fold one piece into the kind of center. It doesn't have to be exact. So take one side, fold it into the center, and then just match up the other side exactly with that one that you just folded over. Just like that. And then you'll unfold your piece of paper. You should have thirds, doesn't have to be equal. And then you do that same thing with in the opposite direction. So you just made 2 vertical folds. Now you're going to make 2 horizontal folds. Again, making sure that each of those pieces now lines up together. Then unfold your piece and lay it out. Okay, so now that we have our piece all folded and ready to go, you can lay down your piece of paper and grab your pencil, and we can start making our design. So to begin things, you'll want to start in the center of your piece. So just kind of start, I'm going to start making some vines here and do a couple more flowers and things like that to go along with it. And then once you have that center design complete, now we can kind of start thinking about going off the edges. So I'm going to start a new vine here, and I'm going to draw that right off the edge of the page. And this is where the folding is going to come into play, right? So I'm trying to match up those 2 edges. So I'm going to fold over my piece into thirds, and then I'm just going to continue that line straight off the edge. Okay, so this is going to ensure that when we go to tessellate this pattern later, all of those lines are going to line up perfectly to create the continuous pattern. So now you can kind of go in and decorate that area and get all of that design done. You can fold your paper back over to make sure every aspect of the object and design is lining up correctly. So you're basically just going to complete that process over and over again until you have a finished design for your tile. Making sure to use both the horizontal and vertical folds that you incorporated so that you'll have continuing designs on the right and left sides of your tile and the top and bottom of your tile as well. When choosing where to put your designs, you'll want to think about things like what white spaces you're leaving, where certain designs are going to be lining up in your repeated pattern, so that sometimes it's useful to fold your paper back and forth and just continually check where you're drawing certain designs and where they're going to line up as you tessellate that pattern. Once you've finished your design in pencil, you can move into working with pen. And with these, I think it's a really great opportunity to work with varying line weights and really creating some depth and interest in your designs. Now, as you can see, as I'm doing this, I am still folding my paper back into thirds when I am continuing a design onto each side. Because just like with your pencil, you want to make sure that all of those lines are going to match up very, very evenly during the tessellation process. Once you've completed the inking process, you can go back in and erase some of those pencil lines that you created earlier, and boom, then you have your completed tile. And it should line up very nicely on all four sides as you fold that back over into thirds. The sky is really the limit on the uses for these paper pattern tiles. Some of the ones that I really like to look into are digital wallpapers. So with the artist examples that we looked at earlier, a great way to do this is to scan your pattern tile into a digital art system. And then you could add color to it digitally, or you could also do this by hand before scanning. But either way, you then have a digital copy of your tile that you can then tessellate using the copy and paste feature. You can keep these designs digital to make things like phone or computer wallpapers, but you could also think about finding a larger scale printer to print out some wrapping paper for students as well, so they could have like a physical manifestation of their tile art. You could also think about using this as a precursor to a printmaking project. So once you have a completed tile like this, it could be really easily used as a stencil for maybe like lino cut, for example. So then once you have transferred that onto a block and carved it, you can use it on paper or fabric to create a physical and manual process of tessellation, which could also be a very fun activity for students. Thanks for stopping in to learn a little bit more about pattern tiles and how you can use them in your art classrooms. Here's a quick recap of the methods we used today.